I couldn't help but wonder. What if the man who sweeps you off your feet is a real estate billionaire whose empire looks perfect from the outside, but hides cracks deeper than his skyscrapers? And the real question is not whether he has the money to give you the world, but am I brave enough to step inside his world when the foundation might be built on secrets? It all started with a late-night scroll through my phone on a warm Thursday in Los Angeles. I was curled up on my couch in my small but sunny Silver Lake apartment, nursing a glass of rose and doom-scrolling Instagram for work inspiration. My job as a social media manager for a boutique luxury real estate firm meant I spent my days crafting glossy posts about multi-million-dollar homes, ocean views, infinity pools, and lifestyles most people only dream about. I was good at it. Really good. But lately the shine had started to feel fake. Every perfect feed made me question my own messy single life in my 30s. Then my phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Chloe. Emergency girls' lunch tomorrow. I met someone. Big news. Bring your A-game outfit. Attached was a photo of her laughing at a rooftop bar, arms linked with a tall, handsome man in a crisp white shirt. The kind of man who looked like he owned the view behind him. Chloe, the one who always said she would never date anyone richer than her coffee order, had just posted a story tagged at a members-only club in Beverly Hills. I typed back, "Oh my God, details tomorrow." But inside, my stomach flipped. Why did it feel like everyone was leveling up while I was still posting other people's dreams? My name is Sophia, and in my 30s, dating in Los Angeles is not a game. It is a full-contact sport. The playing field is crowded with actors who ghost after one date, producers who promise the moon but deliver crumbs, and the occasional tech guy who thinks buying you a drink means he owns your evening. But the real prizes, or so the rumor goes, are the quiet, powerful men who do not need to flash their wealth because it is simply who they are. The ones who move cities like chess pieces and treat romance like another acquisition. I never thought I would be the girl chasing that type. I grew up in a middle-class family in San Diego, where love meant showing up, not showing off. I moved to LA after college, chasing a creative career, and landed in social media because I love telling stories through images. My days were filled with mood boards, photo shoots, and captions that made six-bedroom mansions sound like cozy nests. My nights were quieter. Wine with friends, the occasional swipe on apps, and the growing fear that maybe I was better at selling fantasy than living it. That fear got louder the morning of our girls' lunch. I met Chloe, Leela, and Nora at the ivy-covered patio of Jones on 3rd. Chloe arrived glowing in a silk dress that screamed new money date. She slid into the booth, and before we could even order mimosas, she dropped the bomb. His name is Victor Kane, 40 years old. Owns half the new luxury developments from Malibu to downtown. We met at a charity event last week. He asked for my number right in front of his board members. I think I am in trouble, girls. Lila, the optimistic fashion buyer with bright red lipstick, clapped her hands. Trouble the good kind. Tell us everything. Nora, the sharp-eyed entertainment lawyer, leaned forward. Wait, Victor Kane, as in Kane Properties? The guy who just bought that historic hotel on Sunset and turned it into condos worth more than my entire building. Chloe, you are dating a walking Fortune 500 list. Chloe blushed. It is new. Really new. But he is different, no ego. He listens. He asked about my work like it mattered. And yes, he sent a car to pick me up last night. But it felt sweet, not showy. I sipped my coffee, trying to smile. Inside the questions swirled. Why her? Why now? And why did hearing about Victor make my own dating life feel suddenly small? I had been single for almost a year after a string of guys who talked big but acted small. My last serious thing ended when the guy said he loved me but could not commit because his startup needed him more. I told myself I was fine, focused on my career, building my own brand. But Chloe's story cracked something open. That afternoon, back at my desk, I did what any curious friend would do. I Googled Victor Kane. The results were endless. Articles about his latest deals, photos from galas, and lists of his properties. He looked even better in real life than in Chloe's blurry photo. Tall, blonde, eyes that seemed to see through the camera. No mention of a wife. No messy divorce headlines. Just success. Clean, polished success. I closed the tab feeling a mix of envy and guilt. Chloe deserved this. She worked hard as a freelance interior designer, styling those same mansions I posted about. If anyone could handle a man like Victor, it was her. 2 weeks later, Chloe called me in tears. Not sad tears. Happy, overwhelmed tears. He asked me to come to his house in the Hollywood Hills for dinner. Just us. Sophia, he cooked. He actually cooked pasta from scratch. And the view. You can see the whole city twinkling like it belongs to him. I think I am falling. I laughed with her, but my chest tightened. I wanted to be thrilled. I was thrilled. But part of me wondered what it would feel like to be the one sitting across from a man like that. Someone who could change your world with one decision. Then the twist came without warning. Chloe invited me to a small gathering at Victor's place the following Saturday. Nothing big. Just drinks with a few friends to celebrate the launch of his newest project, a sleek high-rise in Century City. I almost said no. I had a deadline for a big campaign. But Chloe begged. You have to come. You will love the space. And I want you to meet him. I said yes. The night arrived clear and warm. I wore a simple black dress, heels that made my legs look longer, and my favorite silver earrings. The drive up to the hills felt like crossing into another city. Gates opened automatically. A long driveway lined with palm trees. The house was modern glass and steel, perched on the edge of the canyon like it was floating. Music drifted out, soft jazz, laughter, the smell of expensive cologne and citrus. Victor greeted us at the door. He was taller than I expected, warmer than the photos. Sophia, right? Chloe talks about you all the time. Come in. Can I get you something? His voice was low, calm, like he had all the time in the world. I smiled. Just water for now, thank you. He led us through the open living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city lights below. People mingled in small groups. A few faces I recognized from industry events. Chloe stayed close to Victor, her hand on his arm like she belonged there. I wandered to the terrace needing air. The view was breathtaking. I leaned on the railing, letting the breeze cool my face. That was when he joined me. Not Chloe, Victor. She is inside showing off the new kitchen to Lila, he said, stepping beside me. Mind if I join you? I shook my head. It is your house, he chuckled. Technically, but tonight it feels like everyone owns a piece of it. We stood in silence for a moment. The city hummed below us. You handle social media for Crestwood Realty, he said. I follow your work, the way you shoot those listings. You make them feel alive, not just expensive. I turned, surprised. You follow my account? He nodded. I like good storytelling. And you are good at it. My cheeks warmed. Thank you. That means a lot coming from someone who builds the real thing. He looked out at the view. Sometimes I wonder if the buildings matter more than the stories inside them. It was the first crack. A tiny hint that the perfect man might have doubts like the rest of us. We talked for 20 minutes. Easy. Natural. About art. About the city. About how LA chews people up if they are not careful. He laughed at my jokes. Really laughed. When Chloe called him back inside, he touched my arm lightly. Do not disappear, okay? I want to finish this conversation. I nodded, heart beating too fast. The rest of the night passed in a blur. Drinks, laughter, music. But every time I looked up, Victor's eyes found mine across the room. Not obvious, subtle, like a secret only we shared, Chloe noticed nothing. She was too busy floating on her own cloud. I left around midnight with a promise to text her in the morning. In the car on the way home, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Sophia, it's Victor. Got your number from Chloe. Hope that is okay. Just wanted to say it was nice meeting you tonight. Drive safe. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the reply button. I typed thank you. Deleted it. Typed again. Nice meeting you too. Sent. The message sat there. No dots, no reply. I told myself it was nothing. Polite, professional even. But the next morning, a delivery arrived at my door. A small box from a high-end florist. Inside one perfect white orchid and a note. Looking forward to the next conversation. V. My heart stopped. I called Chloe right away. Did you give Victor my number? She laughed. He asked. I figured it was fine. He is sweet, Sophia. Relax. I tried. I really tried. But that orchid sat on my kitchen counter like a question mark. Days turned into a week. No more texts from Victor. I told myself I imagined the spark. He was Chloe's guy. End of story. Then the second twist hit. Chloe called me crying. Real tears this time. He broke it off. Said he was not ready for something serious. Those things moved too fast. Sophia, I thought he was different. I rushed to her apartment with wine and ice cream. We sat on her couch while she replayed every moment. The dinners, the trips, the way he looked at her. She could not understand what changed. I held her while she sobbed. Inside, I felt sick. Not just for her. For the tiny selfish part of me that remembered his eyes on the terrace. The note with the orchid. I never told her about the flower. I threw it out that night. Told myself it meant nothing. But 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Sophia, I owe you an explanation. Can we meet? Coffee? No pressure. Just talk. I stared at the message for a long time. My finger hovered over the block button. Then over delete. Then over reply. I typed one word. When? His response came fast. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. That little cafe on Sunset you posted about last month. The one with the good lattes. He remembered. I should have said no. I should have protected my friend. I should have walked away. But curiosity is a powerful drug. And I wanted to know what kind of man ends things with Chloe, then asks to meet me. So I said yes. The next morning, I sat at a corner table, heart pounding. The cafe smelled like fresh coffee and possibility. When Victor walked in wearing jeans and a simple gray sweater, he looked less like a billionaire and more like a man with something heavy on his mind. He sat down. No smile. Just direct eye contact. Thank you for coming, he said. I know this is complicated. I nodded. Start talking. He took a breath. I ended things with Chloe because I realized I was using her to fill a space I did not want to look at. A space that started feeling bigger the night I met you. My mouth went dry. He continued. I am not proud of it. I thought I could keep things separate. Clean. But I cannot stop thinking about our conversation on the terrace. About the way you see things. The way you make the world look beautiful even when it is not. I felt the room tilt. This was wrong. This was betrayal. This was exactly the kind of drama I avoided. But my voice came out steady. Why me? Why now? Because you are real, Sophia. In a city full of masks, you do not wear one. And I'm tired of mine. He reached across the table, not touching me. Just close enough that I felt the heat. I have a past, he said quietly. Things I have not told anyone. Not even Chloe. Things that make relationships hard. But I want to tell you. If you will listen. I looked into those blue eyes. The ones that owned half the Skyline. The ones that now looked vulnerable. My heart screamed run. But my mouth said, what things? He leaned in lower. His voice was barely a whisper. I was married once. Briefly. It ended badly. Very badly. There are parts of that story that could hurt people if they came out. People I still protect. Including myself. The air between us thickened. And there is more, he said. Something is happening now. Something I cannot ignore. He paused, letting the words hang. My ex-wife is back in town. And she wants to talk. About money. About old promises. About things I thought were buried. My pulse raced. This was not just baggage. This was a full suitcase of secrets spilling open. I stood up. I need to think. He nodded. I understand. Take your time. But Sophia, if you walk away now, I will not chase. I just needed you to know the truth before you decide anything. I left the cafe, legs shaky. The sun felt too bright. The street is too loud. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Chloe's tears. Victor's confession. The orchid I threw away. The man who could buy anything but could not buy peace. I could ghost him. Protect my friend. Protect myself. Or I could answer the next text I knew was coming. Because deep down, I knew he would send one more. And when he did, the question would not be what he wants. It would be, what do I want? And that scared me more than any secret he carried. Because in Los Angeles, where dreams are built on sand, sometimes the biggest risk is not falling for the wrong man. It is realizing you might want him anyway. I could not help but wonder. What happens when you step into a love story that was never meant to be yours? When the man who makes your heart race like it did at 16 also carries the power to shatter everything around him, including the people you care about most? And the scariest question of all, if the feelings are this strong, this fast, this dizzying, does any of the damage even matter until it is too late? The days after that coffee meeting with Victor blurred into something soft and electric. I told myself I was just curious. I told myself I owed it to Chloe to hear him out fully, to understand why he had ended things so abruptly. But every time my phone lit up with his name, my stomach did that teenage flip I had not felt since high school. The kind of flip that makes you stupid, makes you ignore red flags, makes the rest of the world feel quiet and unimportant. Our first real date, if you could call it that, happened 3 days later. He suggested a quiet walk along the Venice canals at sunset. No drivers, no reservations, just us and the fading light on the water. I almost canceled twice. Chloe had texted me that morning, saying she was still hurting, still replaying their last conversation in her head. I stared at her message for 10 minutes before replying with something vague and supportive. Then I put on jeans, a soft white sweater, and went anyway. Victor was waiting on one of the little footbridges, hands in his pockets, looking almost nervous. When he saw me, his face softened in a way that made my chest ache. "You came," he said simply. "I almost did not," I admitted. He nodded like he understood. We started walking. The canals were calm, houses glowing with warm lights, the occasional duck gliding by. He did not try to fill the silence with charm or stories about his deals. He just walked beside me. After a while, he spoke. "I grew up in a small town in Oregon. Nothing like this. My dad was a carpenter. He built houses by hand. I used to watch him measure twice, cut once. I thought that was how life worked. Precise, honest. Then I moved here, started buying land and building bigger things. Somewhere along the way, I stopped measuring twice. I just built." I glanced at him. "And now?" "Now I am trying to remember how to be careful again," he said. "Especially with people." We stopped at the end of a quiet path. The sun was almost gone, painting the sky pink and gold. He turned to face me. "I like you, Sophia. More than I expected. More than I planned. And I know that sounds convenient after what happened with Chloe. But it is the truth." My heart pounded so loud I was sure he could hear it. I wanted to ask 100 questions. Why me? Why now? What about Chloe? What about your ex-wife? Instead, I said the only honest thing I could manage. "I like you too, and that terrifies me." He smiled, small and real. "Good, it should." He did not kiss me that night. He walked me to my car, hugged me gently, and said, "Text me when you get home." I did, and then I lay awake until 3 in the morning, replaying every word, every look, feeling like a teenager who had just been noticed by the boy everyone wanted. The next 2 weeks felt like floating. We texted constantly. Not the casual check-ins I was used to, but real conversations. He sent me photos of half-finished buildings at dawn, saying they looked lonely without people in them. I sent him silly reels from my feed, and he actually watched them and replied with thoughts. We met for coffee twice, for a late lunch once. Each time, the air between us crackled. Each time I left feeling giddy and guilty in equal measure. Chloe started to seem better. She was dating again, casually. She even joked about Victor once, saying maybe he was just not ready for real feelings. I laughed along, but inside I felt like I was betraying her with every heartbeat. Then came the first real twist. It was a Friday evening. Victor invited me to his office downtown after hours. He said he wanted to show me something he was working on. I arrived at the sleek glass tower and took the private elevator to the top floor. The space was empty except for him. He stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights glittering behind him like stars he had collected. He handed me a tablet. On the screen was a rendering of a new residential tower in Santa Monica. Modern, elegant, with green terraces cascading down the sides. "This is my next project," he said. "I have been designing it for 2 years. But I kept one detail secret." He swiped. The next image showed the rooftop. A small private garden, a glass pavilion, and in the center, a bench facing the ocean. Next to the bench was a plaque. The rendering was clear enough to read the words. "For Sophia. Because some stories deserve a view." My breath caught. "You named it after me?" "Not the building," he said quietly. "Just that spot. A place to sit and think, or talk, or just be. I designed it months ago before we met." The name came later. After the terrace at the party. After I realized I wanted someone to share quiet moments with, not just steals and dinners. I looked up at him. Tears pricked my eyes. No one had ever done anything like this for me. Not even close. "I do not know what to say," I whispered. "Then do not say anything yet," he replied. He stepped closer. "Just know that I am serious about this. About you." That was the night he kissed me. Soft at first, then deeper, like he had been holding back for years. I kissed him back with everything I had been afraid to feel. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. "I want this," he said. "But there are things you need to know. Things I have been avoiding." I nodded, still dizzy. "Tell me." He led me to a couch near the window. We sat. He took my hand. "My ex-wife, Lauren, we were married for 3 years. It ended 6 years ago. She left because she wanted a different life. More spotlight, more parties, more everything. I was building the company then, working nonstop. She felt invisible. I did not fight hard enough to keep her. That is on me." He paused. "She is back because one of my early investments, a property we bought together, is selling next month. There is a clause in our divorce agreement. She gets a percentage if it sells above a certain amount. It will. A lot. She wants to renegotiate. She says she deserves more. She says she made sacrifices." I squeezed his hand. "And does she?" "Maybe," he said. "But she is also threatening to go public with old emails, old arguments. Things that could hurt my reputation, hurt the company, hurt people who work for me." My stomach twisted. "What kind of things?" "Private things. Angry things. Nothing illegal, but messy. The kind of mess that sells tabloid stories in this town." I felt cold suddenly. "And she knows about us?" He looked down. "She saw a photo from the canals. Someone posted it online. She connected the dots. She texted me this morning. Said, if I do not meet her demands, she will make sure everyone knows, including Chloe." The room spun. Chloe, my best friend. The one I had been lying to by omission every single day. "I need to tell Chloe," I said. My voice sounded small. Victor nodded. "I know. And I will face whatever comes. But Sophia, I am falling in love with you. Fast. Hard. The way I have not let myself fall in years. I do not want to lose this before it even starts." I looked at him. Those blue eyes full of fear and hope and something deeper. Something that mirrored exactly what I felt. "I think I am falling too," I whispered. "And it feels like flying and crashing at the same time." We stayed there until midnight, talking, kissing, holding each other like we could keep the world out if we just stayed close enough. The next morning, reality crashed in. Chloe called while I was still in bed, replaying the night in my head. "Sophia, we need to talk. In person. Now." Her voice was sharp. Not sad, angry. I met her at our favorite coffee shop in Las Vegas. She was already there, arms crossed, eyes red. "I know," she said before I could sit. "About you and Victor." My heart dropped. "How?" "Lauren." She sent me screenshots. Texts between her and Victor. Mentions of you. Photos from Venice. She said she thought I should know what kind of man he really is. That he jumps from one woman to the next. I felt sick. "Chloe, I did not mean for this to happen. I swear. But it did," she said. Her voice cracked. You knew I was hurting. You saw me cry. And you still went behind my back? Tears filled my eyes. I tried to stop. I told myself no 100 times. But the feelings, they just happened. She stared at me for a long moment. Do you love him? I swallowed. I think so. Yes. She looked away. Then I guess that is that. She stood up. I need space, Sophia. A lot of space. She walked out. I sat there alone, coffee untouched, feeling like the worst person in the world. That afternoon Victor called. I told him everything. He was quiet for a long time. I will talk to Lauren, he said finally. I will end this. Whatever it takes. But Lauren was not done. 2 days later, a blind item appeared on a major gossip site. Which real estate kingpin is juggling his ex and his new girlfriend, who happens to be best friends with his recent ex? Sources say the drama is just getting started. No names. But anyone who knew us would know. My phone exploded. Friends, colleagues, even my boss asked if everything was okay. Victor came to my apartment that night. He looked exhausted. I met with Lauren today, he said. I offered her more than the agreement requires. She took it. She signed an NDA. She promised to stop. I searched his face. Do you believe her? I believe she got what she wanted, he said. Money, closure, revenge maybe, but it is over. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe we could move forward. But Chloe was still not speaking to me. And every time I looked at Victor, I saw the cost. The hurt I had caused. The mess we had made. Yet when he pulled me close, when he kissed my forehead and whispered that he loved me, the world went quiet again. Just like it had on that first walk by the canals. Just like it did every time we were alone. I was in love. Stupidly, recklessly, completely. And even with the questions piling up, even with the guilt, even with the fear that this could all collapse, I could not walk away. Because sometimes love feels like the only real thing in a city built on illusions. And sometimes, even when it hurts everyone around you, it still feels worth it. I lay in his arms that night, listening to his heartbeat, asking myself the same questions over and over. Could we survive the fallout? Would Chloe ever forgive me? Was Victor truly free of his past? And the biggest one of all, if I had to choose between this feeling and everything else, which would I pick? I did not have answers. But as his arms tightened around me, as sleep finally pulled me under, I realized I did not need them yet. For now, the questions could wait. For now, I just wanted to feel this alive. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like this story, because I have more to tell.